Okay, what I ended up doing offline is making the hat a little bit smaller and rounding this up a little bit more. Also going back and redefining my lines underneath here. So what I did was I went up back and I cut it a little deeper, a little bit at an angle. It doesn't take a lot to make things look deeper, so all you do is go back around and just cut a little V-cut, half a V-cut out of that. And I went back and did the boots a little bit and finished that side. I'm going to show you how to do the rest of the boot here. We're going to put a little bit of a sole on the boot, and we're going to just round off the bottom part of the boot here. See, so it looks like it's going up a little bit. And then we're going to bring this down a little bit as well. We're going to kind of go around here in a second. What I use is a V-tool, and I use a little bit of the water to spray it so it's a little softer. And what I use is a mix of rubbing alcohol and water, half and half to 70% strength from Walmart. And what you want to do is you just want to take your V-tool and you want to just start about 1/8 of an inch. Just go all the way around, alright? Alright. And that will give you your soles to the boot. Alright, and that's just like that. Now over here we're going to trim this down just a little bit because that's a little bit too wide there, but what we want to do is just kind of trim that boot into the sole a little bit, and then what we're going to do is we're going to put a little V cut right there for the heel, just like so. Alright, same thing over here. Try to get it about the same spot, so a little bit of the V-cut, just like so. Just keep going back till it frees up. I don't know why it's taking me that long. There we go. Alright, and then you want to take your little V-tool and just kind of go meet those corners a little bit, either side. Now it's pretty well there. Okay. I'm going to trim this off a little bit more. I don't really like how that looks, so we're just going to do a little bit by hand here. Get a little bit more crisper. There we go. Alright, so that's how I do the soles of the boot. Again, I'm going to try to blend things in a little bit. Try to define that line again in the bottom. There we go. Alright, just like so. And I'll clean it up quite a bit yet. There's a lot to just fuss over. Alright, so the hat and the boots, you know, we'll finish up with that eventually. I'll come back and I'll put the little lines on that like I will the hat. And let's do the top part of the hat next. We're going to just kind of round that up and finish the tassel up. I usually do the bottom and then do the top and then blend it together. That makes it kind of nice and round. And then do the top. I'm going to take that rough stuff off. Remember, you have that there. It's going to look different when you paint it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start taking the edges off of the two lines we just, like here when I go around, I go back and I retrim that edge off, and then again at the bottom, and that gives it that rounded look. And I'll finish that up offline as well, and then I bring it all the way down to the edge, and that cleans it up pretty good. One person asked me, well, how much sanding do I do? I don't do any sanding on these. When you end up sanding it, it's the same thing as when you don't clean off the rough spots. If you don't sand it correctly, it's going to look blotchy when you go to paint it. Unless you give it like 4 or 5 coats, you might cover that up. But like all these little rough spots, I need to go back over and take care of them. And then we're going to put the so his hat's at the top. Okay, we see that. His feet are at the bottom. Now we've got the fun part to do with the middle portion. So we're going to try to figure out where our lines are. They're not really clear. So let me kind of draw this back one for you here. I kind of marked these off before. And this is the white portion at the top. I like doing these. These are fun to do. Remember, we're not going to take a whole lot off, just a little notch, especially from the bottom up, okay? Especially for the top one, because we really aren't putting the little V-cut. You won't see that on the top one as much, but you don't want to cut it too far because it's got to be a corner there. So you'll see. We'll taper everything back up to that, and then again we're going to take our knife and make our lines where they need to be, and then take the tip of the knife, bring it down. I'm going to do each one, make it a little bit quicker. Just take your time when you do this. You know, I'm doing it quick because I'm on a video and I'm trying to show you as much as I can in a short amount of time. I want to thank those of you that have been watching. We just passed 2 million views on YouTube from all my videos combined. It really has been a blessing, folks, to be able to do this for you. And I hope a lot of you have enjoyed it. It sounds like you have, and many of you have been learning, which is great. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this up a little bit, kind of taper it up that way so that looks a little deeper, just to make that stick out a little bit. Now if you want, you can do it a different way. You can take your tool and go up here and do a little V-cut right away, you know, and then taper it off if you want. This way you have more of the risk of slipping and cutting everything off. Just take your time. You notice how I'm using my thumb to guide it. That's how you really keep it from going everywhere. It's just using your thumb as a pivot point. Once you learn, folks, how to control that knife, really you can do an awful lot of neat carvings, and just by the way you control your knife. So I'm going to take all this off a little bit down here. Same thing here. I'm going to take all this rough stuff. I'm going to have to put all those lines back on. It just, the reason I put all those lines on to see how far down I had to go before I hit the boots. And you know, and is this faster than doing a regular Santa? Yeah, it is, but when you do the blocks, if you're not careful, you know, it takes a little time to make sure you have everything straight and in line with that. So you just want to be very, very careful with putting your lines on, because you don't want it to look crooked. You know, I know my brother-in-law is a stonemason. He has his own business up there in Canada, and I'm sure, and his sons all are working with him, and I'm sure they're looking at this thinking, this is wrong and that's wrong. So I'm not a stonemason. I've seen him do plenty of work, but I know it's a lot of precision work that they have to do. Okay, so that's that there, and we'll be right back.